if we don't take legal action like we did in the last hour, we talked in the first hour with Dr. Fred Graves, we're going to be faced with a future that's very dystopic, very evil, very, very noxious for literally our continued existence. So you cannot separate out life and liberty and happiness from the truth. So if you have a suppression of the ability to speak truth against things like eugenics and organizations that push eugenics, then if you don't speak out against those who purport to be pro-life when in fact they're pro-abortion, when you don't speak out against those who are doing crime while they call themselves socialists and they're going to really do wonderful things for the population, and as they used to say with a previous election back in the 19th century, they put a chicken in every pot. No, Obama's not going to do that. In fact, he's going to set the stage for the full controlled demolition of the economy, continuing from Bush and stuffing trillions in the bankers' pockets. And these criminals have also done murder, and you have the proof for it too.
Yes. But Bill, you understand that it's a great big world, and there's many countries with much sovereignty. Now, Canada. I'm a Canadian. Now, while you went on break there, I told you the value of the Gutenberg press versus the internet and how it's important for the common man such as you and I.
Right.
I know that what you and I are saying are having an effect because I got an email from a place where one of my favorite poets made his break, Robert Service, the Yukon. Now, Canada does not have a federal entity known as the Securities Exchange Commission. All our securities matters are governed by the province, provincial jurisdictions, and there's no feds that oversee. When I told you about busy little bees buzzing...
Yeah, I know, that was funny.
That was an RCMP officer by the name of Dean Buzza.
Buzza, or Buzzy. I guess he was being the buzzy bee, right?
Yeah, he was a buzzy little bee. Now, who he is his office within the RCMP, and do not underestimate the power of the RCMP, sir.
Oh, no, they're no different than the FBI or CSIS or CIA.
They're very powerful.
They're also quite vicious at times, too.
They created a federal entity known as IMET, Internet Market Enforcement Team, about a week after that hearing that I told you about on November the 18th and November the 20th, 2003 at your Senate Banking Committee.
Right.
IMET is like the RCMP are supposed to investigate basically securities fraud at a federal level. They have never done a tap since November of 2003. What they do is run around shutting people up. Anybody that I make nervous, they run around and shut up.
Well, they do that because they're trying to...
going at each other for years.
Right.
Now, while you and I were talking, I got this email from the Yukon Securities Overseer.
Right.
Now, the Yukon is a little place off of Alaska. But as I explained to the lawyer who's in charge months ago, right about the time that Mr. Obama won the election, he's a lawyer from South Africa. He comes from South Africa, not even a Canadian yet, and becomes the boss of the Securities Act for the Yukon. And he doesn't know his job, so I explained it to him. He has the same power as your director, commissioner, whatever you call it down there, the boss of the Securities Exchange Commission, like Mr. Donaldson once was.
Right.
He has the same power, sir. He can upset the apple cart as easy as your country can. Everybody invests in the stock market all around the world. The same holds true in that email I sent you from Iceland that came to me from the latest Minister of Finance.
Right.
You can see that I was in contact with their Prime Minister's office in October of last year, before the Canadian and the American elections, and he acknowledged it.
Well, I had predicted and put this on Project Avalon, Project Camelot, that there was going to be a disaster in Europe, and I gave the exact date when it would happen, October 7th, and it happened then, which is the Icelandification of the world was started with the destruction and the controlled demolition of the Icelandic economy.
Exactly. Well, you can see if in the email I sent, I got a response from the Prime Minister's office, I believe it was October the 8th.
Right.
Because I was right on top of that. And anyway, they ignored me, but they acknowledged it because I was talking to the leader of the opposition as well, and I was sent the stuff to the banks. Anyway, they had the riots as their economy melted down and their banks all went under, and he was displaced, and the new Minister of Finance sent me a complaint number, which I flipped to the U.S. attorneys in New York pertaining to the Madoff matter.
Right, because it's all tied back to Madoff, just like there's districts in Norway where the entire cities and towns and municipal districts put all their money into these structured investment vehicles, and they're bankrupt. Okay, we're talking about
Fairfield,
districts of places.
Check out Fairfield, Connecticut.
Yeah, exactly. They're bankrupt now. They're wiped out. We're talking about towns and cities in Norway are gone.
If they listen to me.
Yeah, exactly. But they didn't listen to you, which is why as they pump in, right, and they're still pumping in more trillions of dollars. And this fool Obama and his other criminals like Larry Summers, and you've got all the goods in Larry Summers and his crew as well as Geithner, etc.
It's America. It's a great big world.
Oh, you bet.
To a Canadian.
Right. So this whole world is coming down. Yeah.
It's important. Now, as I said, you have the emails, sir, and I have the emails, and anybody can contact me or you or access them from your stuff or mine, right? Or directly from me, and check the truth for themselves. And then once they have a look at it and decide that maybe there's some credibility to what I'm saying, they should approach their congressman, their member of parliament, whoever speaks for them in their country, in their jurisdiction, in their riding. They can be a man from China or a man
Well, in fact, in China, what's happening is that they have had a most rapid increase in unemployment in the world. In China, there's something like estimated somewhere around 50 million people since last fall lost their jobs in China. People don't talk about that. They don't say, well, they're way over there and they're Chinese.
And it's important.
It is important. These are also a lot of them highly qualified, people that have lots of different skill sets, whether they're blue-collar workers or white-collar workers. This is not good. And they're trying to return to an area where the land can't even support them in subsistence farming, and they've been persecuting the subsistence farmers and driving them off their land so they can't even support themselves or feed themselves. This is a social disaster, and it has its roots in Madoff and these other criminals.
Well, not just Madoff.
He's only the tip of the iceberg.
Yes, it's the Rothschilds, it's the Rockefellers, it's the banksters, as people say.
Let's get into it. Let's show the proof, and let's start with indictments in every country against.
Greetings, David Raymond Amos. You are definitely every bit the retarded fish that I have deemed you in the past. No, I am afraid it is not Donna who has been doing this to you all this time. I will make a video shortly which will reveal all, but I thought it imperative to reveal this to you as soon as possible. Once again, I did it for the lulz. Thank you. Here endeth the lesson.